So welcome back to the channel, everybody. It's my Newton down here at Penrith Golf Club, and it's shaft testing video for you today. And we're going to focus on the new Cobra RAD Speed Driver and their offering of stock options and terms of shafts. So some different weights, some different flexes, some different characteristics, maybe trying to suit different levels of golfers, different speeds, but we're going to test them all. We've got TrackMan on the floor, so we're going to look at maybe how it changes launch, influences possibly spin, maybe a little bit of dispersion as well, and possibly give you a little bit of an idea maybe which type of shaft might be best suited for yourself. So obviously we're going to test the stock shaft options from Cobra. So these shafts are no extra charge on top of the driver. Obviously they do offer exotic shafts which are up charges, but we're going to focus on these stock options which will fit quite a lot of golfers, to be honest. So there's some different options. There's a lightweight option which is the Riptide CB, which is coming in at 50 gram. I'm not actually going to hit that one today because that's a little bit longer. That's coming in, the one I've got here is 46 inches. So that is obviously quite a light option typically for that slow swinger or somebody who's trying to get that ball launching. So that's a good option maybe for, as I say, a slow swinger, maybe a senior golfer, something like that. The three main ones I'm going to focus, which I think will be the more popular ones, is you've got the Motori X in the F3. We've got the Hazardous Smoke RDX Blue, okay, and then we've got the Motori X F1, so a little bit more of a low launch, low spin option. So we're going to test those three main shafts and we'll provide you some feedback on the performance. Okay, so we're going to hit all those shafts in the same head. So I've got the RAD Speed Driver, 9 degrees of loft set at 9 degrees, and then I've got the heavy 12 gram weight in the back section and the 2 gram weight in that forward section. So playing it's a little bit more of its more forgiving option. So we're going to start off with the Motori X F3. So this is a sort of mid-launch, mid-spin type of shaft. This is coming in at a weight of 68 grams. These are all stiffs I'm hitting. I haven't got X in all these options, so I'm going to hit all these in stiff, and they're all 45.5 inches in length. So we're going to start with the F3. As I say, 68 grams in weight, so it's that sort of mid-weight typically for that driver. Okay, that's a nice hit there. Nice ball flight, very neutral. Okay, so typically this sort of weight of shaft in that sort of 60 gram bracket, typically I quite like that sort of weight. It suits me quite nicely. That was a decent number there, so 2.5 on that spin, 285 on that carry. As we've sort of talked about in previous videos, I think the shafts are very much a personal aspect to it. You know, there's a lot of information of this shaft is low launching, this is a low spin, high launch, all those characteristics, lightweight, heavyweight, and this will make the ball do X, you know, in its ball flight. But obviously it all very much depends on your delivery as well. Everybody delivers that club differently, whether it's angle of attack, the dynamic loft that you present at impact, and obviously then you've got weights in the head, lofts change, everything you can turn around the head. So for me, I think it's important to get a shaft that feels good, and that sometimes is a weight, a balance, and I think typically then what I would find is when that is, you know, in that right area for that certain player, strike tends to get very concentrated in a central area of the club face, which we know then helps with ball speed, spin, consistency and everything like that. Get a decent strike, just a fraction pull on that one, but that'll be fine in the fairway. So 111, 160, 2.5 on that ball speed. So I've done a review of the actual driver itself, so you can go and check that out on my channel. I think Cobra, again, is going to be a popular driver for 2021. It's a great looking club, this RAD Speed, with that matte black finish. Okay, that's a little bit in that heel, just going to peel a touch up that right hand side. Won't be quite as quick on that ball speed on that particular one, that slight miss hit. Spin goes up a touch. Yeah, and that feels great. I mean, it does feel good. You know, the head itself, really good sound to that. We'll let one more shot and then we'll switch into the other shaft. Again, touch in that heel, but flown quite nicely. Okay, so there's Motori X F3. Let's move into the next one, which is the Hazardous RDX Smoke Blue. Right, so flipped in, same head, obviously got the Hazardous RDX Smoke in a blue. So it says 60 gram on the shaft, but the exact weight in the stiff flex is 62.5 in the grams. So a little bit lighter than that F3 we've just actually tried. But this is actually more characteristics wise, what Cobra's saying is a little bit more of that sort of mid to low launch, mid to low spin. So sometimes you associate going up in weight in terms of trying to get launch down and also spin down, but maybe this is a little bit different just with the profile of the shaft. So completely blacked out shaft. I mean, I've got that set in standard for the next setting. Obviously, if I'm going to start moving that loft neck sleeve around, the graphics might start to come into play. I don't think that affects many people unless you're really fussy on how that looks, but completely black as you look down in that standard position, so it looks pretty stealth-like, pretty cool. Little bit lighter, you just feel that little bit of lighter under that top section, under that hands, compared to that F3 we've just tried. And again, just a little bit in that heel, but felt pretty good. Felt very solid on impact, even though it was a slight misstrike. Ball speed wasn't too bad there. That's a nice strike. That's a better one, better strike. Slightly higher up in that club face on that strike. That'll probably be a little bit lower spin. I'll probably say on that, yeah, 1900. But I've got a decent launch there, 11 degrees, good ball speed, so I've still got out to just short of that 280 carry mark. But land angle at 28 degrees, that's got plenty of trot, and you can see running out 318, obviously dependent on ground conditions as we know. Again, not a bad strike. Lovely ball flight. And I think you can feel that little bit of that weight saving there. And I'm just looking at club head speed, and we'll look at this in a little bit more detail at the end of the video there, but 112, so it looks to be moving that club head a little bit quicker, so just that little bit of weight saving there, just allowing to increase a little bit of club head speed. So going back to that shaft that I haven't actually hit that riptide, which is a 50 gram area, so if you're really trying to up your club head speed, then that's a really good sort of option of just saving that weight in the shaft. Let that shaft sort of tend to be a little bit more kick in it, tend to get that ball flighting a little bit more, but realistically can generate a little bit more club head speed, which hopefully can translate into a little bit more ball speed. Yeah, again, that's a fraction in that heel, but it's flown very, very straight, very stable there. Again, good club head speed. That launch just popped down a tiny bit through that little bit of that heel strike. Oh, that's solid. That's really nice. Even though it's a bit light and it feels like I can move it quite quick, it does feel very solid, very stable in that hitting area. That was a really good ball speed. Again, good club head speed. Okay, so there's 5 shots hit with the Hazardous Smoke. Just quickly looking at dispersion rings, very, very similar patterns to that first shaft. I missed a couple to the right, actually literally on top of each other. There was a little bit of those heel strikes. I've lost it up that right. The rest are very, very similar, aren't they? Okay, let's move into the Motori XF1. Right, okay, so moving into the F1, again, stiff flex, same head, and we're going back into that 68 gram for a stiff flex. So it's the same weight as that F3, but we've got 2 different performing shafts is what Fujikura is saying, and obviously what Cobra is saying as well. So this is now more that low launch, low spin. So it's typically into that stronger player, maybe somebody like myself with my sort of speed, that maybe sort of would be more suited to this type of shaft, so a little bit more stable through the shaft itself. The torque on this is just a tiny bit less than the F3, so that's where you just get that little bit more stable in that shaft, which again typically would just suit that slightly quicker club head speed. So again, that weight I can feel now, I've gone from that 62.5 in that RDX now to this at 68, just feel that little bit of extra weight. Okay, not too bad a strike. So 111 on that club head speed, 286, quite nice. A little bit of a lower spin there, so that particular one did spin a little bit lower. Good launch at 12, decent speed. You can see that speed's just dropped back a tiny bit there. Maybe that little bit of extra weight, maybe just influencing that club head speed. Does feel quite stable again. Again, that's a good ball flight. Looks a strong ball flight. I was a little bit quick on that club head speed there, one shot at 130, 165 there, really good numbers, 2.5 spin, 288, and importantly, nice and straight, which is obviously very, very important. You know, we'll look at those rings then, you could sort of straight away see, okay, so the purple ring, 2 shots with the F1, okay, that's getting me my longer shots. Am I going to buy that because of that? Not necessarily, no, it's minimal, isn't it? Great that you can squeeze those extra yards, but it's not everything is it. Now we're looking at dispersion. Now, granted, I've only hit 2 shots. This could go a little bit pear-shaped now, but we want to look at that dispersion note. We want to be as accurate as we can off the tee. Okay, so that's a little bit of toe shot there actually, but again, it's flown up, away, looks to be pretty long there as well. Getting that launch, getting that spin, 292, yeah. But again, accuracy-wise, just seemed to be a little bit more, again, stable, maybe that little bit less torque there, just creates that a little bit stable, especially on those slight mishits with my particular speed. And this is where it's important for you to go out and try these, get tested, because your speed will be probably different to mine. Yeah, it's good, really good. Feels quite consistent, that. Again, good speed, getting a little bit of confidence with that. Again, 2.5 spin, 290, really good. Okay, so we'll hit one more shot with this, then we'll go and look at a few numbers in a little bit more detail between those 3 shafts. Oh, really good. Feel really confident with that. Feel like I can let it go a little bit in a way and just really get that good stable flight. Ooh, spun a little bit higher that one, didn't it? I don't feel that bad a strike actually. Okay, right, so there's 5 shots hit with the F1. Let's go look a little bit more detail in the numbers between those 3 shafts. Okay, so obviously just looking at important dispersion rings, which is key, as we've just talked about before with drive. You know, if we can hit more fairways, we're typically going to score better. You know, it's much easier obviously hitting from the fairway than it is from the rough. And the fact that these balls are a little bit long as well, it looks like we've got quite a clear winner with that F1 for me personally. So tight on the dispersion, a little bit longer, which is a bonus, but again, the important bit is it's tight on that dispersion. So we look at the side on a bird's eye view of those flights. So going back to the white flights, which was the F3. So that was a little bit more of that mid-launch, mid-spin. A little bit different of those, obviously through my strike patterns there. It's the same shaft, same head, same loft. So I'm not obviously changing that between the shots, but the different flights there, that's just obviously through my strike. So maybe just not concentrate my strike as good maybe with that particular one. Going into the Hazardous, just got a little bit tight. I saw that little bit more of that consistency with that. There's that little heel one that I just peeled off, but flight window a little bit tighter. And then moving into that purple one on the F1, didn't actually launch lower for me, but again, the tight white window was tighter, obviously dispersion much tighter. Okay, and then I just obviously want to look at the important numbers, so we can see we've got the F3 on the bottom, so club head speed just short of 111, 111.8 with the RDX, which was a touch lighter, so gained a little bit of speed, but then going back into that 68 gram with the F1, I still kept it at that 111.9. So obviously, for some of you always say, oh, well, you seem to warm up as you go along the shots. That's not the case, because I have actually hit quite a lot of shots before a test. I do that with every video. Obviously, I don't want to start cold and then start warming up through the actual video and test itself. Pointless doing that. So I fully warmed up before I've started. But as I said, I did feel really comfortable. That felt like, because I got that, probably that consistency, that shot direction, it felt like I could swing a little bit freer. So again, that's a reaction from me, isn't it? So looking in ball speed, 168.8, 163, 163.4. Again, that's more in relation to the club head speed. Launch 11, 10 and 11.7. So I've actually launched what the characteristics this shaft says is the lowest launching, lowest spinning, and it probably is the lowest spinning, but only just. Again, it's more through my strike. Probably just struck that a tiny bit higher in the club face than the others possibly, but it has actually launched low. Again, it's how you react to that particular club. Land angle 34, 32, 32, so all in good areas, so they're going to trot out a little bit more. Actually launched or peaked out higher because of my launch and my speed with the lower launching shaft, so it sometimes just isn't quite as clean cut as what obviously the script sometimes says on a website. Can't substitute going and testing these yourself with your delivery, with your speed, with your strike pattern. You know, it's so important to do that. Okay, so there we go. There's an interesting little test there with the stock options from Cobra in the new RAD Speed line of drivers. As I say, it's a feel aspect. So for me, I did quite like the Hazardous blue in that weight. You know, I could definitely feel that a little bit lighter, but they're all in a very similar area that I'm sort of used to. So obviously the standout one for me there was the F1, just through that tighter dispersion, is a big box tick for me. You know, if I can hit more fairways, then it makes the game a hell of a lot easier. I know I'm going to score pretty well from there. So post your comments down below, let me know your thoughts. Have you gone and tested shafts? What shaft are you playing, what weight, and the reasons maybe as to why you've gone into that. Was it purely because the numbers were better, or was it a little bit of that personal feel and how you reacted to that golf club? I'd love to hear your thoughts and your experiences as always, so post some comments down below. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you have, hit the like button, share this video around, and more importantly, subscribe if you haven't done so already. More videos like this coming your way, and hopefully it will catch up with you all very soon.